We can breathe, Niners fans. We can breathe because it's the day after this 49ers game. And despite the roller coaster that Kyle Shanahan once again took us on and almost made us nearly crash out because he almost choked it away again. Hey, a win is a win. The Niners won against the Dallas Cowboys in their Week 8 matchup under the bright lights of Sunday Night Football. Yeah, the Niners won this one 30-24 in that Week 8 game, but they almost threw it away. They almost threw away that game. And while it wasn't necessarily the best game of their season, while it wasn't necessarily a terrible game either, but we'll take what we can get. Yeah, we'll take what they got. So going into this game for both of these teams, as I talked about in my preview for this one, it was a must-win for both of these teams. The season was kind of on the line for the most part for both of these teams. Not necessarily so much on the part of the Dallas Cowboys, but so much on the 49ers. For the Cowboys, they had a little bit of leeway in terms of their division hopes because, well, the Giants are, well, all so well in the bottom, the barrel of the division. But they're going to have a lot of work to do if they had lost this game to go up against the Eagles and the Commanders, who had both won that day. But the Commanders by the bare skin of a Hail Mary. And then for the 49ers, had they lost this game, well, it was going to be an uphill battle. It is kind of like the death nail to their season because the Rams won, the Cardinals won. Well, the Seahawks lost to the Bills in a blowout, but yeah, you were sitting there. If you lost this game, you're sitting there at 3-5, and well, you were what? You were like 1-2 in the division, and your season was kind of like basically still kind of dead in the water. So it's a must-win situation for the 49ers regardless. So let's talk about this game for both of these sides, starting with the Dallas Cowboys. They had the week off going into this one, so they were more fresh than the 49ers, but it didn't seem like the bye week didn't really do a whole lot for the Dallas Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott, I talked about in my preview for this game, the keys to victory, that they really had to establish the running game, which was the worst in the league for the Cowboys. They kind of did. They kind of did to start the game. Ezekiel Elliott did have a decent outing to start. Rico Dowdle, who I thought was going to play in this game, but ended up not because of an illness. But nonetheless, Ezekiel Elliott was the main bell cow for the Cowboys rushing game and was the only guy rushing in this one. So he had a decent outing. He scored the Cowboys' only touchdown on the first half. But after that, he was basically shut down by the 49ers defense in the second half and basically rendered useless the rest of the way. Meanwhile, for Dak Prescott, he was okay, but then he threw a brutal interception in the first quarter to Jair Brown under pressure. And yeah, that was basically the theme still for the Cowboys offense, failing to protect Prescott from the incoming pressure of opposing defenses, especially it's a 49ers defense that had a little bit of difficulty getting to quarterbacks. But in this game, they had their way against Prescott, as they had done in their previous matchups. The Cowboys did manage to come back in the fourth quarter, utilizing the hurry-up offense. By that point in the fourth quarter, they're down 3 scores. So they did manage to come back in the fourth quarter, utilizing the hurry-up offense and all of CeeDee Lamb. Like Dak Prescott basically threw just one guy, and that being CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, who caught the 14 unanswered points that the Cowboys scored, he was pretty much left wide open. Like, I don't know why the 49ers defense, like, on each and every time that the Cowboys scored in the fourth quarter, they left them wide open. It was like, what were you guys doing? Like, whose man was supposed to be on CD that whole time? And they just left them open. Like, what are we doing here? So the Cowboys managed to cut the lead that was down, I believe, 21. No, or 20, I believe. But then it was down to 6 as we got into the last couple minutes of the fourth quarter. But for the Cowboys, they fell just short. They ran out of time because they stalled out on their last chance. They tried to use their timeouts, with a little over 3 minutes left to go. But in their last chance, they stalled out. The Niners defense stopped them, and they basically ran out of chances. They couldn't get another stop. But if you want to look at things for the Cowboys going forward, their fourth quarter comeback, it might be something they can look at on as a positive of sorts. But, you know, if you're the Cowboys, if you want to try to come back and try to save your season, that, you know, a season that's supposed to be considered all in by Jerry Jones, yeah, it's not looking any easier for them. I mean, look at the road ahead. You got the Atlanta Falcons, you got the Philadelphia Eagles, you got the Houston Texans, and you got one of the biggest surprise stories, actually the biggest one, in the Washington Commanders up next. All up next. They're all red hot right now. And you're looking at the Cowboys right now. They're not looking too good. Meanwhile, for my San Francisco 49ers, yeah, it was like a tale of two halves. It was pretty much a tale of two halves for this team, as it has been these last couple of games. A shit first half of football and a somewhat good half of in the second half. Let's talk about the first half first, because it's kind of like the theme in the last game against the Chiefs. I mean, the defense did pretty good. The defense, they gave up 10 halftime points. They gave up that touchdown run to Ezekiel Elliott, but then limited the Cowboys to a field goal. Other than that, they made Dak Prescott pretty pedestrian in the first half. But the offense, though, for the 49ers, well, not as bad as last week. Brock Purdy did pretty bad. He played pretty scared in this first half, badly missing open receivers, and then he even fumbled a pass. He threw it, and then he hesitated, and then it fumbled out of his hands. And he was lucky that none of the Cowboys defensive linemen recovered that thing. It's fortunate that Aaron Banks, is one of his linemen, recovered that thing, because otherwise that could have turned the game real ugly on his head. So something I'm not sure what was going on with Brock Purdy these last couple of games, but yeah, he was playing real scared up until the second half. And it doesn't help either that guys like Deebo Samuel and some other guys too were dropping his throws. And then of course there was the penalties, the holding penalties that also negated a touchdown too. Purdy didn't help himself either with his own undoing. So when you look at that first half for the 49ers, yeah, they were basically beating themselves up. And there were a couple of play calls too by Kyle Shanahan that was making me scratch my head. What are we doing here? It's like why are you calling a run on third down? He did this twice, mind you. On a 3rd and 10, I think it was the second possession, you called the run to Jordan Mason, I believe, who eventually ended up leaving the game with an injury. Why? Why are we calling a run on third down? You can't be doing that. The third quarter, though, was a much better showing. So whatever Kyle Shanahan told his team at the halftime mark, especially Purdy, it definitely worked, because they looked like a completely different team. Isaac Grindo, who filled in for Jordan Mason, he really stepped up to the plate. He really got going. He looked like a real good runner that bursted through holes, had some nice runs. He even got his first career touchdown on the opening drive of the second half. Purdy made much better throws, much better decisions with the football, throwing it to George Kittle and then Debo, and then extended drives with his rushing ability, which we haven't seen a lot of in the last two games against Seattle and Kansas City. And then he got his own rushing touchdown on the quarterback sneak. So they scored 21 unanswered points in the third quarter. And the defense, they really showed out in the third as well, limiting Dak in the offense to, I believe, under 20 yards of total offense. So they didn't even let them get past midfield. So that's just how well that they were doing in the third quarter. Now, like I said, the fourth quarter was where the comeback started for the Cowboys, which meant another classic Kyle Shanahan choke job, or it almost was, because as Dak and the boys clawed back in it, the defense bailed out Kyle Shanahan on the Cowboys' last drive, and Garendo sealed it with a third down run run and slid like close to the end zone. But good thing he slid just a little bit short to prevent himself from scoring on the last minute. So the Niners won it 30-24. Got a much needed bounce back win and another season saving win, mind you, to keep themselves in the division race and I guess to a degree in the playoff race, if that matters so much. So an admittedly very solid bounce back win for the red and gold going into a much needed bye week. Like they seriously need this bye week. Like they're so beat up with injuries. They're mentally like stressed. I can like see it on their faces. I can see it and how they move. Like, I mean, I'm no expert, okay? I'm just a filthy casual fan, but like when you look at how they play, they're like stressed. They're stressed, okay? Like they just want to go into their bye week and like de-stress, like mentally prepare for what's going to come in the second half. That's how I see this 49ers team, especially with all the injuries that have been dogpiling them. And I also, like, even though most of them haven't been season-ending injuries other than, I believe, Javon Hargrave and Brandon Ayuk, you know, these injuries do pile on for this team. And yeah, even with the injuries that are piling on, they're not playing their best brand of football. And like, this is a team that's currently not playing up to snuff. And I get it. The Super Bowl hangover, the failure to finish the story, like the Cody Rhodes of the world. And I'm not going to say it over and over again, but actually, no, I will keep saying it over and over again because, damn, is it like, it really annoys the heck out of me, like how they're playing right now. It really does. It really does. But nonetheless, not to go further off topic, but the Niners, they got the much needed win here to save their season, 30-24 over the Dallas Cowboys. And yeah, they go into their bye week at 4-4. So let's talk a little bit about the bye week. Like I said, they stand at an even 4-4, which also was the case 3 years ago in 2021. Although they didn't have a bye week, but here they were exactly 2 years ago, going into their bye week where they had recently acquired Christian McCaffrey in the blowout against the Rams before they went on their respective runs to the NFC title game. Now, I'm not saying that they can or they will go on those same runs to the conference championship game at 4-4 because, you know, anything can happen. But the more important thing is to hope that they truly get everyone that's available, everyone that's healthy. Whether it's Dre Greenlaw, Christian McCaffrey, Tauno Hufunga, Jawan Jennings, you name it. The question is, if they do truly get these guys back and healthy, does it make a difference? And hopefully it does make a difference, if you ask me, because these guys are difference makers to their respective sides of the ball, especially Dre Greenlaw on defense, Christian McCaffrey on the offensive side. So hopefully they will get them back at some point. I think Christian McCaffrey is slated to come back for the Tampa game after the bye week. So hopefully, after the bye week, we do see some bodies coming back. So hopefully this bye week is a good reset of sorts for this team. And yeah, they could also seriously use, like I said, a mental reset because, yeah, they haven't been playing their standard of football that they were a year ago on the way to, that game that I don't want to mention. Of course, they'll be watching what's going on with the rest of the NFC West. Arizona, that's currently in first place. They play Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. That's probably going to be pissed as all hell unless they're playing that kind of football. They play the Bears next week. Seattle and the Rams play each other as well next week. So the Niners will be watching the rest of the division very closely while they're on vacay. As for us fans, though, until it's time for us to see our red and gold team again in action when they're going up against Tampa in the next week plus, well, I'm going to be doing what I usually do during the bye week. Maybe go outside a little bit, get a drink of water. See the other game action during the bye week. Not worry about my team unless there's something significant that happens. I won't be checking out Crown Jewel, that pay-per-view, that WWE pay-per-view for sure. I'm telling you now, I won't be doing a review of that show. I'm just not personally interested in it. But yeah, de-stress, get a drink, go do something. Maybe do something like that you haven't done in a while. I don't know, anything. At least we get to have a full bye week to ourselves. Yeah, like de-stress, man. De-stress, because the rest of the way, it's going to get even more stressful. I'll tell you that right now. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the 49ers picking up this victory over the Dallas Cowboys. A much needed bounce back win. And yeah, we have a little bit of days before we talk about the Niners again, when they return to action to face the Tampa Bay Bucks in Baker Mayfield. But until then, this is Dylan Lasagna signing out of another 49ers video, recap of the Niners beating the Cowboys 30-24. Leave me your thoughts on this victory for the red and gold. And until the next one, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And until I see you, when I see you in the next one, peace out.